to the we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. This past weekend, many miles south of the border, in Argentina, Saul Balmstar was able to win a points decision over America's own Bustillos. Fighter who I've talked about in passing, she was coming off a decision loss to Valle in what was an MVP show. Now she's coming off a loss to Saul Balmstar in what was an IBF interim title fight in the women's minimum weight division, where Sarah Borman reigns as unified champion, Valle holds the WBC title there, and Canada's own Kim Clavel is the reigning IBF champion. But of course we know that Kim is out with child. She is a champion in recess, and so the winner of this fight is in line to usurp her, to either challenge her for the IBF title upon her return or usurp her as champion if it takes her too long to come back. And the winner is Saul Balmstar, a fighter that I've known about for some time, but haven't spent a whole lot of time on. Mostly because very early in Saul's career, she suffered about 6 career losses, 6 blemishes right there at the beginning. So I didn't know what to make of this fighter in spite of the momentum she had gained, the progress that she had made. Then she loses a decision to a then unbeaten Saul Kudos. That was in April of last year. Saul Kudos went on to become IBF champion, only to lose the title to Kim Clavel. All the while, Saul Balmstar managed to rebuild herself yet again, fought 3 times and won 3 times. A testament to the tough Argentine slugger, because that's what Saul Balmstar is. She's not a sugarfoot fighter, she's not a mover, she's not a jabber, she's not about finesse, she's all about ferocity. And for better or worse, it seems to be working, at least now it is. I mean, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't, but it definitely worked this weekend when she knocked down Bustillos hard, at least once throughout the course of the fight in the early goings of it, and managed to win a decision in a slugfest. So now she's in line to either fight Kim Clavel for the title directly or be elevated to full champion if Kim takes too long to come back or doesn't come back at all, because she's going to spend more time being a mom. On the premise that Saul Balmstar becomes IBF champion, what are her chances against the other 2 champions at the weight, Sarah Borman and Valle? I think that a fight between Saul and Sarah is about even, in the sense that Sarah Borman is a slugger, just like Saul Balmstar, but punch for punch, I think Saul packs a bigger punch than Sarah. I think she takes a bigger punch too. That's in keeping with a lot of Argentine fighters. They're usually tough and they can hold a shot. So a fight between Saul and Sarah is about even money, and where it happens matters a great deal. As far as Saul and Valle, I would give Valle good odds to outdog and out-hustle Saul Balmstar, because Valle can dog it out just like Saul, but she can do a little bit more than that. I would give Costa reasonable odds over Saul if Saul does move on to become IBF champion. For now, congratulations to her for winning a significant fight that puts her on the right path.
Man, these boxers, they suck. For real. Yeah, y'all suck. For real. Especially the top ones we got right now. Just soft. Straight up. Yeah, I'm calling all y'all soft. For real. Yeah. Y'all don't know how to negotiate. Y'all don't want to fight. Yeah, all these damn excuses, man. By all of y'all. Ain't not one of y'all is freaking perfect. Not one. Shit, the only one might be Shock. Shock might be the only one. Cause he ain't brother-in-law in no damn body. Shit. When it comes to this bunch, you know the bunch I'm talking about. Yeah, you got Devin Haney. He's scared to death of damn Ryan Garcia. Yeah, he's scared. Scared to death of Ryan Garcia. He's scared to death of Shakur, too. That's the reason why he won't even budge on the damn weight. He won't even budge on the weight.
I share in Timothy Bradley's sentiment that this crop of young American fighters, they just suck, and that's all there is to it. You don't need to overthink it. And you can't really overstate it, because for all the mythos of the American boxer and the fighters that this country has produced, this current crop of fighters and champions, they just suck. Ugh. Now, Timothy Bradley was a bit more specific and a bit more direct about who he was talking about, Keyshawn and Devin and Shakur. But I would also extend that to Gervonta Davis, who faced so very few of his own contemporaries, and he had several at 130, at 135, even at 140 for that brief moment that he was there. So many somebodies that he didn't fight, didn't bother. That he shouldn't be forgotten. He shouldn't be excluded from this laundry list of fighters that just suck. They're not up to scratch. There's always a reason for them not to do something or not fight someone. It wasn't even me that said it. It was somebody else I saw on Twitter that surmised the current state of American boxing as little more than leverage tactics and games with the weight. Not the gladiator sport it's made out to be. I talked about it the other day on one of the live streams. You don't often hear all this stuff about weight, catch weights, rehydration clauses, outside of the American boxing space as much as you hear about it here. You don't hear about it in the UK that much. You don't hear about it in the Asian boxing scene or even the Australian one, the Mexican one. All this stuff about weight, catch weights, rehydration caps, handicaps. It's what they are. When so much of your success is derived from being able to handicap your opponents, are you really good? I mean, how many times has Gervonta Davis either brought up a smaller fighter up to his weight, or stuck some kind of rehydration cap on a fighter at his own weight? Very recently, Shakur Stevenson said he'd do as much upon moving up to welterweight. He'd try to stick a rehydration cap on the fighters up there. Remember that? With Devin Haney, it's a little bit different. It's not so much about weight stipulations, but the fact that this was a guy who was cutting a massive amount of weight to get down to 135, to get down to 140, just to hit like a little bitch. He was really big for those weights. But he hit like a little girl, and the common theme across the board is weight. When you talk about American boxing, it's either leverage tactics, games with the weight, or both. Because one can go hand in hand with the other. And these are notoriously difficult fighters to deal with who demand top dollar every time they get out there, every time they fight, but don't always turn in top-notch performances. I know that Timothy Bradley, coming from an older, more exciting era of boxing, has to be nauseated to see what American boxing has become. It doesn't generate the excitement that it used to, because how can it? Today's boxer doesn't want to be a boxer. Want to be a rapper, want to be a real estate agent, a streamer, an influencer. You look outside of the American boxing space and it's almost like looking back into the past, in a time machine, where the boxers from other regions want to be boxers, want to box, want to fight. But here, they want to do anything but. Is my perspective. I haven't given up on the sport of boxing as a whole, but perhaps the American boxer, because, you know, there's not a lot of fights you could put Devin Haney in where I would get excited, because we all know what he's gonna do. Who he models himself after. Go ahead and make the Shakur Stevenson fight if you can, or the Keyshawn Davis fight. We all know what he's gonna do. We all know how he's gonna fight, and it ain't gonna be exciting. Give me 10 Ryan Rozicki versus Chris Billum Smith fights any day of the week. Before a Devin Haney fight. No, Shakur Stevenson, who I think is a little better, at the same time, is not that different. Because if he has it all his way, he's gonna fight a safety-first fight too. There are not that many situations you could put him in that would make me get excited. Nope. About who he's fighting. And this thing with his buddy, Keyshawn. I'm not even pressed to see him fight Keyshawn, but I do understand why people have grown frustrated with the bromance. That's my brother. We could never fight. Whatever. Ever the fuck ever. So we know you're not gonna fight Keyshawn, but you don't seem to be gunning for Undisputed either. You don't seem interested in doing that, so what are you doing? Who are you fighting? Why should we even be interested anymore when we know so much isn't going to happen? You don't want to fight Keyshawn. Gervonta doesn't want to fight you. He doesn't want to fight Devin either. Devin doesn't want to fight unless he has a weight advantage over you. You don't want to fight him unless you can handicap him. Ryan is awful. But he's popular. Rolly is awful. Not as popular, though definitely inactive. Just throw the whole goddamn crap away. The whole thing. All 4, all 5, all 6 of them. However many of them there are. Get rid of them. Let's start over. Start fresh. Fresh tactics. Because if it feels like the American boxer ain't what he used to be, it's a sign of the times. Soft times breed a soft ass. You often hear that said, but it's not just about the consumers, it's about the participants as well. Take Dean the Great, for example, a fringe contender who probably never was and never will be a world-level boxer. He's distracted by his career as a streamer to where he's never gonna get to the point. Probably never wanted to. To where he's a world-class fighter, fighting for world titles. He's distracted by his career as a streamer. And more power to him, because I'm not telling him how to live his life or what he should do, so much as America's boxers seem distracted. They're not hyper-focused on their careers like they used to be. I remember reading stories about all the miles that Joe Frazier had to run just to make it to the gym, just to train. He had to train in order to train.
Hyper-focus.
And you wonder if today's boxers had to deal with those same circumstances, would they even get there where they are now? I think not. I think the fighters back then were made of some tough stuff.
These kids don't, because these are softer times, and these kids, they don't want to hear that.
The ongoing rift between the Gen Zers and the Millennials, as they call us.
Of course they would have grown tired of the old fogies talking them down in their era and how soft things have become, but that doesn't make it any less valid, any less true. Perhaps it's a cycle that generally repeats itself generation through generation, but it doesn't change that their predecessors had it a lot harder, so they worked a lot harder.
When Timothy Bradley says quite plainly that today's fighters suck, I can't help but agree.
Today's American boxing scene sucks. You can't get these guys to do anything unless you overpay them.
What are you paying for? Fucking staring contest? A waltz? A ballet?
What are you paying for?
Faint off some of what these guys are getting.
Obscene amounts of money.
To get out there and lay an egg in front of me and you, I'm of the opinion, just throw the whole crop away. The whole crop's gone bad. Start over. Start fresh. Because these kids suck.
Speaking of these kids, Ryan Garcia feels responsibility as a champion to fight anyone. The WBC welterweight champion is chasing all of the smoke and has declared that he's not dipping or dodging any dance that requires him to sign on a dotted line. As a champion, I have a responsibility to uphold boxing in the most respectful manner without putting myself in a bad predicament, Garcia told Complex's Max Welty. But I'm the type of person who will fight anyone, especially when all the terms are equal and fair. I'll fight anybody.
Blah, blah, blah.
I've never been scared in my life to fight top competition. Ever since the amateurs, I fought everybody. I fought in the hardest divisions. Now you see at 147, everybody wants to come here now. I'm definitely going to show the fans that I'm a great world champion.
How are you gonna do that when the only reason you got a title is because of chicanery? Is because the alphabet organizations are quite shamelessly willing to whore themselves out to any mildly popular fighter that can bring them sanctioning fees.
Ryan Garcia has claimed that he's next facing Conor Benn on September 12th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, but an official announcement has not been made following Garcia's revelation May 18th during an appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. In addition to Benn, Garcia has been tied to a bevy of other bouts. He called out a host of top talent, including rematches against Evan Haney, Gervonta Davis, and Rolly Romero, as well as fights against the likes of Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, and even Manny Pacquiao. The 27-year-old Garcia, a native of Victorville, California, is ranked number 5 by The Ring in the welterweight division. He last fought on February 21st when he dominated Mario Barrios by UD to win the WBC title, in a fight that he should have never been in because he never should have got the shot.
He was still coming off the loss to Rolly Romero.
Before that, he was coming off a suspension for a doping violation, so that now that he's got a belt, he can start with the motivational speeches, because that's what this is intended to be.
Oh, he feels a responsibility to fight all comers as a champion.
Kid's a parody of a boxer and a parody of a champion.
I'm not trying to convince you that boxers in the previous era were perfect, but I do think it meant a little bit more to be a champion then than what it means now. Ryan is only a champion because he fought the weakest link in the division.
And he only got to fight the weakest link because the sanctioning body let him.
A sanctioning body that literally didn't even rank him at the time and at once suspended him from their rankings altogether for what was his racist tirade.
This is the guy's gonna give me and you motivational speeches.
The point being, the Gen Zers hate it when the millennials and the boomers have something to say about them, but what's being said isn't any less true.
Because you're annoyed. Because you're frustrated. You're gonna say we're hating, aren't you?
You hating?
Damn right I'm hating. I hate what American boxing has become. We used to be the gold standard. Now all we've got are these parodies and poor excuses for champions, poor excuses for fighters.
Ryan still strikes me as somewhat of an enigma because he seems to be a very, very popular fighter online, but it hasn't exactly translated into real-world dollars when you consider that his fight with Devin underperformed.
That's according to Oscar, and he's the one promoted it.
It didn't do what they thought it was going to do. Then he main evented again with Rolly Romero in a fight that he lost. We didn't get any numbers for that one either.
Not even a ballpark.
So you gotta figure that if it would've did something substantial, we would've heard about it by now. And the same applies to the more recent Mario Barrios fight that he headlined. We didn't get a ballpark for that either.
So you gotta figure that if it would've did something substantial, we would've heard about it by now.
Ryan is often said to be one of the more popular young fighters in the sport of boxing, and there must be something to it, the way the World Boxing Council bent over backwards to put that title in his hands. But it doesn't seem to be showing up in his marquee value, in his box office numbers. He's just popular online.
That's how it looks.
Being popular online can definitely be monetized, and we all know that. It's worth something, though I notice what passes for celebrity in the modern day and age doesn't tick off on all the boxes like it used to. I mean, Ryan Garcia is not the modern equivalent of an Oscar de la Hoya.
Oscar had a lot more fans, a lot more notoriety, a lot more marquee value, thus a lot more reach than what I see Ryan has.
Ryan is said to be fighting Conor Benn in a fight that will be distributed by Netflix, a streaming giant. And it's another one of those weird situations where, you know what, Ryan's not even that popular, and neither is Conor. Not in America, but because their fight is happening on Netflix,
A lot of people are gonna see it.
that's the story. It's not confirmed, but the distributor of that show is supposed to be Netflix?
Well, Netflix is a lot more popular than either of them.
So whatever it does on Netflix, if it does end up on Netflix, has more to do with Netflix than it does to do with them.
So weird.
Conor Benn is not exactly a darling right now among the Brits, and Ryan is still a very niche fighter. Uber celebrity in the United States, but depending on what platform their fight ends up on, yeah, a lot of people are gonna see it. Furthering this illusion of Ryan being so popular, so well known. I mean, I don't know. Maybe after the fight he will be.
He's gonna knock out Conor Benn.
I think he is. Not because he's so good or because he's so this or so that, but because Conor's gonna be so weight drained, having not made that weight in what? 4 years? Ryan gets in with one of those trademark left hooks, he's gonna knock Conor's block off. Conor won't be able to hold a shot.
I'm not actually excited about this fight. I don't really care for it, but it'll be one of the bigger fights happening in the month of September.
Where Katie Taylor is said to be making her exit and Canelo is making his return. Ryan Garcia somewhere in there. It does make for a very big month of boxing.